Hello, my name is Sarah, and I'm your instructor for COM 340 Conflict Management. This is the welcome video or the silly video, meaning I'm going to cover the syllabus and an overview of the class. We'll talk about some of the assignments and what you can expect from an online version of COM 340. Last term, and sometimes I teach this in person and sometimes I teach it online. So this is specifically for an online version of the class. All right, so let's get started. If you go to Canvas, you can find our syllabus. So I have the syllabus here. I printed it out so I can use this to go over what I'm going to talk about. It's a 4-credit class. You can expect 4 to 6 hours a week of content and work, kind of any combination of this. It's really going to depend on you and your own style of learning. But for me, I usually plan even more than 6 hours, especially in the beginning of a class, just because I'm trying to get used to a new class, new requirements, things like that. Sometimes navigating those things take a little more time. So I spend a little more time the first couple weeks, but everyone's really different and you know yourself as a student. So if I say everyone's going to average 4 to 6 hours, I would probably do 8 hours. Some people might be less than 4 hours. You can see where you might land in that spectrum of time. And then as the course progresses, you'll start to develop some strategies because we fall into a rhythm in my classes where it's basically the same type of assignment you're going to run into again and again and again, just with different content. And that makes it so that you can get better and better at the deliverables for the class. COM 340, conflict management, not conflict resolution, which traditionally the conflicts class have sometimes been called conflict resolution. And that we've changed it to conflict management because conflict resolution puts this goal that conflicts can be towards resolving them, and sometimes they can't be resolved. Sometimes you can have the best mediators, the best conflict negotiators in the whole world at the table, and you can walk away with the exact same conflict. So that is why we say conflict management. We want to think about how we're managing our conflicts and our difficult situations, relationships. And this class in particular is focused on interpersonal encounters. We are not going to dive into politics or geopolitical situations. That's not the gist of this class. It's interpersonal, which doesn't mean that you might have interpersonal conversations or conflicts with family or coworkers that fall into political discourse. And in that way, we might discuss some things. But in general, we're just looking at what is happening in our interpersonal relationships and trying to manage the conflicts and difficult conversations we run into. So that means you're going to learn a lot of conflict theory. You're going to learn a lot of it. We have all different types of sources that we're going to draw from throughout the class, and we're going to look at different people's takes on different things. We're going to look at communication and conversation dynamics, relationship dynamics, the way relationships come together, the way they come apart, and what does conflicts look like, either on such a small scale that it actually feels more like you're collaborating, to full-on disagreements. And there's a spectrum there. And we're going to start breaking things down like this throughout the term. And I get very excited. This is my area of study. Not only do I study communication, but I'm very interested in conflict specifically and managing conflict, mostly because I'm terrified of conflict. If there's a situation, I'm going to be the first person to run and hide. I'll lock myself in my closet. I don't want it. I don't want to deal with it. And we're going to talk about our runners and our fusers in this term, and the experience of being flooded by conflict and sensitivities to difficult moments, and why we all are a little different in the way that happens, either from our experiences, our backgrounds, and we might even just dip our toe in neuroscience a little this term, and psychology, though that is not the focus. The focus is communication theory. So that means that you're going to have a lot of vocabulary, and a lot of the class is going to be how you incorporate this vocabulary into your vernacular, and how you can replace your personal theories or the way that you would have talked about conflict before through the lens of a more how you can pull from the toolbox of what we're going to be using this term to develop your own way of being able to talk about conflict situations. Okay, so I'll talk a little bit more in the video about the content. Actually, the content of the class I will end this video with. Now I'm just going to go through the syllabus. I talked a bit about the course itself. It's a 4-credit class. A little bit about me. I have a master's degree in English and communication. And when I studied English, I did film studies, and I'm a documentary filmmaker. I work on water issues. I'm in the water world. I'm deep into the water world. And I am almost done with my PhD. I'll be completing that. And it's specifically in environmental science, which is, I study water in conflicts, and specifically groundwater. I kept most of my research and studies here in Oregon, where I live, although I am familiar with other issues in the world and in the United States as well. And specifically drinking water, groundwater, and quantity and quality of drinking groundwater. So that's some of the things that make up me, one slice of me anyway. My office is on campus. I'm there once a week, and I hope you can have a chance to visit me, even if this is an online class. I really appreciate it when people come by. Also, I'm available virtually on Zoom, and we can meet anytime during the week. Usually I'm available. I am working on my PhD, so I'm at my computer quite a bit. And if you schedule an appointment with me, I can jump into a Zoom room and talk about anything. And as I go through the syllabus, I might be like, and that would be a reason to visit me during office hours or to make an appointment. And so we'll just keep that as a pin in it, as to find more and more reasons for you to come and chat, or just to say hi, find common ground. On the first page of my syllabus, I also have the accessibility statement from the college and from me. I've added a note at the bottom. So if you're working with ODS, please go through the channels of ODS so we can make sure everything's lined up. There are no tests or quizzes in this class at all. No online exams, no testing centers. That's not about the deliverables of the class. And if you need help with note-taking or any other type of ODS services, lectures are going to come in just this form in a video, and you can work with ODS to help and ask me if you need some help as well. If you are not working with ODS and you have some accommodation that you need, or some concerns you have about your learning style and the format of the class, please, sooner rather than later, come and talk to me, and we can see if there's anything within my scope of influence in the class that I can help you with. I also have a learning disability. I am dyslexic, and I have struggled through school for all my life, and it's amazing I'm getting to this point. I don't think my fifth grade teacher, after I had to repeat fifth grade, would think I would get here, but I did. So that means that I have a lot of tools and things that I do to adapt to make myself successful, like allotting more time than maybe the average bear might do to get through an assignment. All right, I'm on the next page, which is the page about grading and assessments. Is that where I want to be now? Okay. Yeah, let's talk about the assignments in the class and grading specifically, because I have a very particular grading style that I use. In fact, you may have already noticed if you've gone to the Grade Center. If not, you might be clicking on it right now, that you might have 4 listed for every assignment, even though you haven't submitted anything and the class hasn't even started. It says you have 40% in the class. So this is, if you look at your grading and assessment, I have a little statement here about it, but 4 points is a 0 basically in this class. 4 is an assessment. Excuse me, I just have a little bit of a head cold, I guess. Excuse me. Okay. So 4 means that no submission, and that's why I put 4 in everything. I don't want to put 0 for a submission this term. We're going to see if this helps with the grade averages through the term, and I can talk more about why I do that. You'll also notice that every assignment in the class is worth 10 points. Now, there's different weights for different groupings of assignments, but every assignment is worth 10 points. And I've listed here when I deliver 10 points, 9 points, 8, 7, 6, and 5, what I'm assessing for that. Each assignment will have much more detailed or information about what I'm needing out of that assignment, but this is just a general description of what 10 points, 9 and stuff means. So if you turn in an assignment, let's say you get 10 points, and then the next assignment you turned in, you didn't turn it in, you'd have 4 points for that, not a 0. You'd have 4. And so your average in the class will probably be, if it was a 10 and a 4, you'd have a C in the class. You'd get a C. You'd pass the class with a C. And that seems to me much more representative than if you had a 10 and a 0 for a no submission. Remember, 4 means 0. 4 means no submission, but then when it averages the grade, it puts it at 50%, that you did 50%. And 50% as a final grade is an F. And so I don't think that is a true representative. I think the C is better representative of a 10 and a 0. So that's just a quick example of what you should expect in the reasoning for why I am putting this new grading policy into effect. Okay, so that's the first thing. The other thing is that I accept late work with a small point penalty. So let's go over what that means. I accept late work through week 1 through week 9. After week 9, I do not accept late work that can be put into the final grade score. So if you hit a rocky moment in the term, I always say to you, and you've missed, there's a late work rubric here that goes up to 72 hours, 3 days here. I'll go over that in just a second. But basically, if you hit a rough point and you can't turn in work for a couple weeks and then you get back into it, I say keep up with the work, and then as you can, start going back and doing that late work, because once you're past 3 days of late, you can't really lose more points for a late work. It stops after day 3. So let's go over that and talk about what I mean. So for my late work rubric, 0 to 12 hours. So most of my assignments are due at 11:59 p.m. Always check that to be sure, but 11:59 p.m. And for 12 hours after that due date on Canvas, the assignment is open. It doesn't shut down. There's no blaring alarms. You actually have a full 12 additional hours till 11:59 a.m. before you lose 1 point. At noon on the following day, and part of it is I'm not grading anything in the middle of the night, so it doesn't make any difference to me if something comes in at 11:59 or 2:59, though I do hope you take care of yourself in your sleep. We can talk about that later if you need to. I'm a big proponent of a good night's sleep. So there's no point penalty for the first 12 hours. I bet we can think of a lot of reasons. You could probably think of some reasons. I can think of some reasons too of why this might help you out. One is you got pushed up against the deadline and you're not feeling well and you really need that good night's sleep, which I'm a big proponent of. Then you can go to bed, go to sleep, take care of your health. That is a priority. Get up the next morning, be refreshed, make a cup of coffee or a cup of tea or whatever is your morning beverage that you like, and sit down and get that work done in the morning, and you could turn it in by noon and not lose any points on that assignment at all. So that would be one reason. Another reason, what if there's a tech problem? What if you accidentally spill something on your laptop right before you were going to submit? Oh, and you can't get it submitted. You'll have to go the next day to the computer help desk and get some help. Or maybe your internet went out. Maybe there's a power interruption. Whatever it is, you have 12 hours to kind of just stay calm. Everything's okay. Get going in the morning and get that figured out. I always like to remind everyone at this point that there is no point penalty for turning anything in early. So if you know there's a week, if it's due on a Sunday at 11:59 and that weekend's you have family visiting, just get it done, get it in early, and then get it off your plate so you don't have to worry about that or be pressed up against the deadline. I know that there's a lot of things that everyone is managing, and that's not always ideal, but I just like to put in that little reminder. All right, so what happens next? Where does this minor point penalty start? After 12 hours, you lose 1 point on the assignment. Remember, all assignments are worth 10 points, so you lose 1 point for turning it in after noon the next day, after 12 o'clock the next day. And then you're in that 1 point for the next 3 days. And after 3 days, 72 hours, you lose an additional point. Now you can lose up to 2 points, a total of 2 points on that assignment. And that's where it freezes. You can't lose more than 2 points for a late submission on a 10-point assignment. So if you how it would happen, you turn in your assignment late, let's say after the 3 days, we'll just say after 3 days, it was just one of those weeks and you got it in late. You wanted to take advantage of the grace of the class. And I grade your assignment. I'll open it up, I'll grade it, and I go, wow, great, 10. Good thing you took those few extra days. And you have a 10. I look then to see how late the assignment is and calculate you got 10, and I'm going to take those 2 points off. Now you have 8 out of 10 on that homework assignment. If I grade the assignment and let's say you got an 8 on the assignment, and then I go look at the late work, I look at the late hours and I say, oh, I'm going to take another additional 2 points off. That will drop you to 6 out of 10 for that assignment. So be cognizant of how you're doing the work. If you do turn it in late, get it in the best way that you can so you don't drop too far below. All right. Everything has to be turned in by week 9. The other point I need to say is that please do not send me your medical information or doctor's note. That is, I consider that private information, and I will never request it from you, and will not open it if you do submit it. If you say, oh, I attached the doctor's note from my visit, I will not open that, and I will probably send you a kind email reminding you not to send me doctor notes, that those are private. That's private to your situation. If you are unwell, if there is an extending circumstances, just send me an email and keep it short and brief and tell me what's going on. Most likely I'll send you a message hoping that everything works out, and to please make an appointment when you can so that we can help you get caught up, or make a plan for keeping you caught up. I'm very, very interested in you taking care of your health and taking care of keeping up in the class as well. So please think of me as a resource. All right, here we go. What is the next thing we're going to look at? Did we get all that? We got late work rubric. We got the 10 points. Okay. I'm on this page of our class, which is the overview, and it kind of shows you the course content. Down here we have week 1 through, I just list through week 9 because week 9 is when is where content ends, and then week 10 is where we do the final project of the class, the Keystone project. The reading materials for the class, there is no required purchases. All the content is built into the modules, and if there's any articles or readings, they'll be posted as PDFs. If you want more information, like if we go up to a week and you're like, this is my jam, this is my tool I need, I want to know more about it, send me a message. I have a lot of information that I can get to you that you can use if you want. This is a communication class, so I am very interested in your communication process and your communication style and improving your communication skills. So because of that, you will have video presentations to give so I can hear how you're speaking. You will be in team meetings. I'll assign you a team. I'll make a separate video just for team meetings. I'll talk a little bit about it right now, but just so you know, there is a whole separate video just on team meetings. For your video reflections or any video discussion boards we do, what I'm looking for is a really strong opening, and then for you to build in vocabulary as you're speaking right up front. If this goes for anything, not just speaking, but your writing as well, I am always looking for how you're interweaving the vocabulary or content from the class in with your own experience and building a bridge that shows your critical thinking skills and demonstrates that you're incorporating the new tools of the class into your experiences. The main thing for any speaking assignment is everything has to be extemporaneous, not read. I'm speaking extemporaneously right now. This is me. It means I have a plan of what I wanted to say. I practiced, and I've been teaching a long time, although I'm still not used to the video format. And I have a plan of what I want to say, but I'm not reading anything, and I didn't memorize anything. That's what extemporaneous is. It's not completely improvisation. I do expect you to practice and have a plan, but but the one thing I like about extemporaneous is it's a conversational style. It feels like we're in a conversation. The listener It means I'm not perfect. It means I sometimes say too many ums or so's or right. Whatever my little speaking habits are kind of show up a little bit with the extemporaneous. So when I'm asking you to speak extemporaneously, I'm also asking you to please not be perfect. Please be yourself, practice, be concise, have a plan, don't ramble on, get to your points, get your vocabulary in there, make sure you're framed well. You can even make video presentations on your phone. All of these things you should have access to. And I'm really good at technology. I pick it up really fast when I don't know something, but I'm also deep into documentary filmmaking and social media content. And so that means that if you do want someone to talk to about the technical aspect of that assignment, I'm a reason to come and see me for office hours or virtual Zoom meeting, and we can hopefully figure it out together. So the other thing about this class, we're going to go through week 1. We're going to define conflict management, and we're going to use Hawker and Wilmot's definition for interpersonal conflict. It is one of the best definitions out there for understanding conflict. I love that definition. In fact, I keep it here it is. I keep it right on my computer on a little postie. That's how much I love this definition. It really helps me when I'm navigating difficult conversations because it reminds me of things to, even though it's a definition of conflict, I feel like embedded in the definition are the tools for how to manage it as well. And we'll talk about that week 1. Week 2, we're going to get into communication cultures. We'll talk about gender. And mostly we're going to talk about this idea of uncertainty and meaning why do we avoid uncertainty? Why are these situations that are spontaneous, that just appear before us, sometimes throw us off, and how to deal with those moments and how to find ways to regulate emotions. We're going to talk about taking breaks during conflict, how to do that in a functional, kind way, not weaponize a break as a way to punish the other person. We want to move away from those intentions. This class, if I could rename it, I'd actually probably rename it a class on perceptions, because this is a class about really understanding different perceptions of situations. We'll go into classic conflict styles like avoidance, accommodation, compromise, collaboration. We'll look at power dynamics, everything from authoritarian style power to leadership that is more authentic leadership and followership that is voluntary. And how do you get voluntary instead of authoritarian style of followership? We're going to look at conflict mapping, feedback loops, nonviolent communication, face work, face identity. Basically, we'll look at identity and what's happening in trust dynamics and how does culture play an element of that. And we'll look lastly at forgiveness versus reconciliation. So that's kind of the breadth of the class. That's a very quick way of saying we are going to cover a lot. Every week is a whole nother thing to dive into, which is why you want to really reserve that 4 to 6 hours a week to make sure you can really get into the depth of it. And that brings me to one of the last things I want to talk about with you. And that is that this class is difficult. This is a difficult class, not rocket science or astrophysics difficult. I'm talking about difficult as that it will ask you to re-examine and re-look at your own past experiences, or you might start thinking a bit about your childhood, or a difficult relationship you're in. It might be one that's current or one from the past. I think those things are really difficult. And when we've moved beyond a situation and we've put it in the past, we kind of pack it up and put it away. And this is we're going to kind of unearth some of those zombies. And it doesn't mean that you need to share all of that with me. I will not ask you to do that with me or anyone else if you're not comfortable with that. It's just kind of the natural flow of this class that it will bring things up. So this is your content warning that this class is difficult, and we will be touching on difficult topics in the class in our interpersonal. So when I do ask for examples or things like that, you might find a relationship that you really want to work on that is not as triggering for you as some maybe a past experience. Maybe you want to dive into that past experience. Like I said, this is not a psychology class. This is a communication class. So we are using a lot of concepts that will get into our mind a bit, but we are really interested in the transactional nature of a situation and how do we respond and communicate in a way to manage those difficult moments. So maybe you have a relationship. I'd like you to spend some time at the beginning of the class thinking about either something you wish that went better at work, or maybe a breakup that you wish went better, or whatever it is that you're trying to manage. I've had everyone in the class go through so many different things that it really is up to you how you want to approach the class. If you want to feel a little bit safer, I do accept movie examples or TV shows. I love a good Breaking Bad example. I'm deep into pop culture, and I love pop culture examples. I think we actually start the term off with The Godfather. So I throw a lot of different things in media, and I think by week 3, we're going to look at Wreck-It Ralph, which is one of my favorite movies, or Train Your Dragon, to examine a conflict. The Bachelorette's about ready to start. I also sometimes teach reality TV, so sometimes something will pop up and I'll go, oh my gosh, that'll be perfect for my class. I've got to tell them about it. So I will also be sharing pop culture media examples as a way to find I think of it as finding a different way into the topics of the class, and not just going straight for those really difficult parent-child relationships or romantic relationships. So there we go. That is our Silly Week video. Yay! Everyone, I really hope you have a good term. I think this class is a really exciting class to teach, and I have lots of hope for you that we're going to get through it, and you're going to really walk away from this class in 10 weeks with a whole new toolbox of how to deal with these difficult moments. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Bye, everyone.